Hey everyone. Welcome to Ludicrous Feed live tonight. I'm your host, Tom. And yeah, joining us as always is our good friend Riz from Carloop. Hello, Riz. How are you today?
Hey, going well. Feel like I've been electrocuted. My hair's all spiked up, but that's all right. We're here.
uh,
It's electrifying.
that's because Riz, you're on fire, like our audience
That-
tonight. Yeah.
That's it. It's gonna be fun.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. If you're watching live, thanks so much. Make sure you leave a comment and tell us where you're watching from. And what the weather's like too. I'm seeing, yeah, a bit of chilly weather there around Australia at the moment. And also, if you're watching on replay, hello as well. Thanks so much for joining us. And make sure you leave a comment too. And if you're listening to us on audio podcast, thanks so much. Stay tuned. We've got lots of goodies coming up. Hopefully, Rahul will be joining us as well a bit later on. But Riz, how have you been?
Yeah, been well. And yourself, Tom? There's lots happening.
Oh, there's so much. Like we've got our own private, chat here between the three of us, and we fill it with news articles. And like this last couple of weeks, there's been so much happening. I don't even know which one to lead with, honestly. Does any particular news story stick out in your mind, Riz, over the last couple of days?
Look, when we think about what's happened the last couple of weeks, we can't go past Elon's love child, Nash, and the story that I guess he sort of broke yesterday. I think it was when he was notified that Model S and X are off Tesla's website.
Yes, that's correct. So we had Riz on a couple of weeks. Sorry, we had Nash on a couple of weeks ago. Sorry, Riz, you're always with us.
All
So
good,
my
all good.
apologies. We had Nash on a couple of weeks ago. Australia's number one Tesla fan, and yeah, he was obviously a bit upset with the fact that Model S and X was taken off the Australian orders, as well as basically every right-hand drive market, without so much of an explanation from Elon or Tesla. And yeah, so it became official today, I think, or yesterday. Let's just put it on the stream now. There we go. So yeah, this is actually from Nash's tweet himself. End of an era. Tesla officially removes its flagship models from Australia, and of course, this is written by yourself, Riz. So take us through it.
Yeah, so it's Nash sort of tagged me in a post saying, "Hey, it's gone," and obviously this whole saga is very close to his heart, given how long he waited and his very regular communication and the pings from the gong to Austin, Texas, or California, wherever Elon is.
Shanghai today.
Um, well, in Shanghai, maybe he's getting it in the jet as he's flying back to Austin. That it's things have happened in Australia, so
That's right.
that's where it sort of started, and yeah, just looked a bit into it, and it seems that obviously there's a lot of people that had been waiting for such a long period of time, and as we said about a fortnight ago when we had Nash on, that I personally feel that Tesla's let some of the early adopters and their early supporters in some ways down. But you know, as I sort of ran through it, there's a couple of people that generally join us, Jeff and others that had their sort of take on it as well, and they're feeling the same sentiment that Tesla's let them down after such a long period of time of being supporters. So the way I sort of closed the story was, let's hope the Cybertruck, the Roadster, and the new next gen Model 2 platform, or whatever it will be called, is going to be available in right hand drive.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to end it, Riz. And yeah, look, I do feel for the people who have felt left out, or let down rather by Tesla with this, without even an explanation. Really, I guess I was an early adopter, but I'm a bit more pragmatic, a bit more realistic about it, in the sense that, well, yes, the bottom line counts too. Tesla needs to go forward and make it more viable, I guess, for them as well. But yeah, I can see the other side of the coin where, yes, if you've supported, Tesla all this time, you've been waiting for a Model S or X, and just, yeah, order cancelled. So unfortunately, that's the way it is.
And I think just on the back of that today, there's on Twitter, there's a couple of photos coming out of the UK where I think Tesla's doing a bit of a showcase of the left-hand drive models that in the UK you are allowed to buy and drive. It's not convenient. So that's starting to happen as well, which I guess it's a good thing that they haven't forgotten about the right-hand drive markets, even if where they are allowed to sell a left-hand drive car, like Japan and the UK. It's happening. But on the back of that, the other exciting news in the last couple of weeks have been around the new Roadster. And apparently reservations have opened again in some countries.
Okay.
Some
Right.
people, I think it's like whether it was euros or pounds. I saw a tweet somewhere earlier today saying, um, who's game enough to put this sort of money down, because it says like 4,000 due today, and then the rest of it due in like 10 days time or something like that. So people are starting to doubt whether it would actually happen now that it's happened again, because there have been reservation holders from, when did they put it out, the Founders Edition, 2017?
Yeah, I remember it was supposed to be out in 2020 actually, before COVID hit. So yeah, at least 2020, if not earlier. Definitely 2019
So,
maybe. Yeah.
and they put down what, I think nearly 250,000 from
Yeah.
memory. So that's been sitting with Tesla for that period of time. But yeah, that's where it's these sort of things around Model S not coming to right-hand drive markets start to create some doubts amongst those big fans and supporters. But as you said, Tom, the bigger picture is we need to look at the more affordable models to get more EVs out to more people. So if that is what sort of stopping right-hand drive Model S and X's from being made, then I think the bigger picture, we sort of have to go with that.
Yeah, that's right. They're certainly moving away from the luxury brand that they were initially known for. Could Tesla be the new people's car, right? The new Volkswagen for EVs, possibly. Yeah, Gaffer basically sums up your sentiment, Riz. Like, who trusts putting down dollars for a Roadster now? He also says Tesla now has form. They can take your dollars without leaving you for waiting for 2 years, then no without explanation. And I guess that is the flip side of the coin of being so agile, right? They change their prices all the time. This is, I guess, the downside of the fact that they can just take your reservation away from you like that without an explanation. Anyway,
it's all right.
it is
We're moving towards, I guess, the exciting future that they showcased on the Investors Day. So that's what we've got to look forward to.
correct. The mission is the mission. Just want to drop a few more comments there. So hello to all the members. I can see, yes, Kenny, hello there. Evening, everyone. Hello there. A few people who are a bit cold. I can see, Melbourne's a bit cold at the moment. Canberra's a bit cold. Sydney's not too bad today, actually. So everyone, it was quite pleasant, unfortunately, for everyone else. Kenny says, thanks for the review for the Cupra Born. I really enjoyed that car, actually. So thanks, Kenny. Glad you enjoyed that too. Jordan says, any news on the Model Y shipping with hardware 4? We might touch on that a bit later on, because we've got to talk about the refresh. Project Highland, of course. And Peter Cook says Tesla vacating luxury space creates space for new entrants like Lucid. Healthy marketplace helps accelerate transition. Yeah, it's hard for a brand to be all things for everyone. I think it's good to other brands to fill that space, I suppose. So interesting times ahead. I might just segue into this. I might just shout out to these guys here. We've been shouting out to the Whyalla Vet Clinic, who recently had a DC charger installed, actually, on location. There we go. So there's a Tritium RTM charger there on site. So it's really, really cool to see. I'll show you in a second where Whyalla is, but this is like a bit of a drone footage of their location. So if you're ever up in regional South Australia, make sure you drop into Whyalla. Say hello to Andrew and the team. I'll keep playing because it's quite a cute ending towards the end of this video. So Riz, I guess this is a nice model for businesses to install chargers like this, right? Because this place has actually got an AC charger too.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We picked it up in our charging data set as the site opened, and it's already being used. And I think it's a good thing that people are going out there exploring different parts of Australia, and it's a big investment. A DC charger like this, I'm not sure exactly what the cost would be at that particular site, but my understanding is they're about $50,000, these RTM 75 units, and that's just the charger itself. Others may know a little bit more around what the exact costs are, but that's, I'd say, $70,000-$80,000 at the very least to set something up like that. So it's kudos to them for making it happen, and yeah, it just allows EV drivers to make journeys in an area where they traditionally won't otherwise go to.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know what the business model is for Weiler, but I guess if there's some sort of shared platform, whether it be ChargeFox or something else that's doing it, helping them out, this is the way we progress, I think.
I think my understanding is it is on the ChargeFox network, but I'll double check that.
Mhm. Yeah, that's why I wanted to show the whole thing. That cute
Hmm.
little furry friend there, hopping out of the Model 3. So yeah, if you're in the area, check out Weiler, and I've got some more pics as well because they held an EV day too. Um, so that's where Weiler is, up in that regional area, just north of Adelaide in South Australia. And yep, so that's the EV day they held. There's a few EVs there. They've got actually branded BYD Atto 3s and as well as Teslas too, which is great to see. And there it is there. There's the BYD Atto 3 with the branding Whyalla Vet Clinic. So yeah. So thanks guys for sending those photos. I really appreciate that. So thank you. Riz, we might actually talk about the fact that Model Y was the number one selling car recently.
Yeah, the first quarter's data is in, and yeah, apparently it did very well. The Corolla has been passed. The pricing is just Model Y. What is it? More than double what you'd spend on a Corolla.
Yeah.
So it's a huge milestone.
Yeah, it's incredible, really. And there's the Tesla tweet there. Thank you to Tesla owners for making Model Y the world's best-selling car in quarter 1 this year. So that's no mean feat. Sorry, that's no small feat. That's quite amazing, really. As you said, passing Toyota in that regard. So well done, Tesla. Well done. Yeah. So Peter says EV carrying bar opened yesterday as well. Two RTM 75s downrated to 50. One of them has already gone offline. So, yeah, I wanted to point out the fact that, yes, unfortunately, Tritium has got the reputation where, yes, reliability is still an issue.
And I think with some of these newer sites as well, and it sort of happened in the past where they do go online and then for whatever reason, sometimes it's to do with the power supply to the site, where then the power supply there is not used to getting that sort of a feed, and there's power issues on some of the regional, even some metro sites. But hopefully, after these initial hiccups, they can get past that. But I'm all up for variety of charges, as we spoke to Rob last week.
Yeah, that's right. So there we go. EV Networks tweeting a few more sites coming online there. Queensland, Robina, Central Gold Coast, Caloundra, and Victoria and Brighton, Mafra and Carrum Downs. And yeah, Caringbah, as Peter pointed out, in New South Wales. So look, yes, the more the merrier. We just need them to work, obviously. Make people comfortable driving around in EVs. There we go. Yes, and thank you, SP Shalandra. Yes, that was his tweet indeed. So I love that little meme from the last. You got a like from Tesla too. How good is that? Well done. That's great. Look, let's talk about what happened today with Mr. Musk going to Shanghai. Riz, I think there was some speculation that he might possibly have green-lighted the new Project Highland Model 3. Did that actually happen?
Apparently, that's what the word on the street is, but I haven't been in the street that he was on, so that's all we can sort of go with. And I think Daniel put that story together earlier today.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. So what does that mean? Does that mean surely he was involved in somewhat of the design changes or was aware of it? Maybe it was just to see the production line like he walked the Cybertruck line a couple of months ago.
Yep. Yeah, just to inspect his work or his team's work, I guess. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, give us crystal ball analysis there, Riz. Are we talking quarter 3, quarter 4? When's the first one going to arrive in Australia?
Well, if they're making prototypes, generally speaking, for a plant as busy as Shanghai, you'd like to think they can't, even if they had like 4 production trains running at the same time, which I'm not sure if that's the layout of the plant or not, you can't shut one down to do prototypes because you're talking about replacement of parts, right? So let's say it's got new headlights. If it's got newer headlights like we've seen in I think that leaked photo, then they need to swap those parts over to make it happen. So if the prototypes are being made now, it wouldn't be too far. They look a little bit roadstery, Model S type of lights. So they would probably need to get on with it pretty quickly so they can transition this over. There's a couple of signals we're getting not only from Shanghai, but also out of the US, which is a little bit surprising, where even today, Tesla reduced prices on their Model 3 by like 3 grand of whatever they had in inventory. And then earlier in the week, I think earlier in the week, they announced that if you live in Texas, you can go with the electricity retailer, Tesla Electric, and get free years worth of night charging on a Model 3 that you purchase
Nice.
before the end of June.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
So either the demand is too low, which it's hard to believe given the US incentives, or they're trying to get rid of existing stock, which means that in anticipation that hopefully now that Elon's given the Shanghai team the green tick, that it's going to be starting to happen out of Fremont as well.
There you go. So yeah, I mean, if your signals are correct, Riz, it could be this year, right? Later this year.
I'd say they would be starting production pretty soon, and I think next quarter they will be starting to deliver cars out of Shanghai that
Wow.
are this Project Highland.
Okay. That's very exciting. Yeah, I did see a funny meme today that Elon was actually Project Highland, given his interview a few years ago. Just yeah, you know what I'm talking about, people. Um, moving on to hardware 4, I see that some shipments were made already this week.
And that's the other signal. So if Model Y now, for those that are unfamiliar with hardware 4, it's supposed to be the next generation of 5 megapixel cameras, the higher resolution cameras, along with a new computer and new, I think they call it high definition radar. So Tesla got rid of the radars, went computer vision only, and then Elon tweeted once that unless it's a high definition one, we're not including it in our cars. And so it appears that the high definition radar is back, as well as high resolution cameras that get to see more and that also have a greater field of view. So the car will see more around what's happening with the high resolution, and a computer will be able to process this on board. The Model Ys have been spotted, which means if Project Highland was part of this whole, their master plan to get as many of those 5 megapixel cameras in, do the swap over, hardware 3 is done, we're starting to produce hardware 4 cars. That also means that you wouldn't do a Project Highland or a revamp of a Model 3 without giving it the latest hardware. And that is going to be the latest car that they produce. So that's the case. Then Project Highland isn't far. Model Y is getting him out of Fremont, which probably also means that Shanghai will be doing it very soon too.
Yep. And I think I noticed too. Well, someone told me that there was quite a big buildup of Model 3 inventory as well in Australia. So clearly, word has gotten out that Highland is coming.
Yeah, and there's obviously there's a lot of cancellations at the moment as well due to people's financial situations changing. So it's I think a bit of both. That there's people that can't take the delivery of those cars, but the large businesses, leasing companies, fleets, and others will pick them up pretty quickly, especially if it's a rear-wheel drive Model 3.
Yeah, I mean, look, I guess hardware 4, what implications for that obviously are probably more for full self-driving. The other question is, when is full self-driving coming to Australia? There was a bit of hoo-ha this week as well, which I might segue into now, that full self-driving was spotted in a couple of cars this week in Australia. What do you make of all that, Riz?
It's hard to tell. I think the guys that run these apps, whether it's was it Teslafy, Teslab, there's a fair few of them now that
Tesla
link in
Scope,
with
isn't it?
your link in with your API, Tesla's API that monitor the car and what software it has on it. I guess they know what's happening more than most of us do. So I guess if there is some cars with that are running those apps where that's been spotted that there's a full self-driving software that's been downloaded, I guess maybe it's testing. Apparently in the UK, a report came out that because people were saying, well, it's all left-hand drive cars, but there was a report that came out that apparently there've been cars driven around by employees in the UK in the right-hand drive market with full self-driving running in them, but nobody knows that it's happening.
Yeah. I kind of felt like it was a bit of a molehill out of a mountain of a molehill this week with the with that news. Like suddenly we all thought, oh, it's going to arrive, but yeah, it kind of just fizzled out. I think in the end. So I think you're right. It's
Mm.
probably just company cars, just possibly testing. We don't know. I guess. There's the article here. I'll just pop it up here. That was written by. Where is it? Yeah, so TechAU put this article up,
Yeah.
and that was in reference to some tweets last week about, yeah, so we go Tesla Scope showed that, and also Tesla Fire. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any FSD capability yet in the new cars we've bought, the Model Y, Model 3. I'm just banking on the fact that Elon Musk did say a few years ago that if it does land in your region, they'll give you notice before they jack up the price. Then again, Tesla's word is a bit flaky at the moment, so I
Well,
don't know
what
what
would
to
be
make of it.
good was if they really wanted to get people to experience it, they would do sort of what they did over Christmas as well, where they provided enhanced autopilot for, what was it, a month or something, if they
Mm,
wanted to give people a bit of a trial, those that were interested. And it's a good way of gauging the market as well, like how many people are actually interested in this product.
yeah.
And then they can say, well, okay, because I'm assuming you have to download the software. And if you have to download the software, those that have opted in to download, Tesla will know, let's say, out of the 50,000 Teslas we have in the country or so, 2,000 downloaded the full self-driving.
Mm,
Then they would know that after the free trial ended, how many of them actually, out of the 2,000, was it 300, 500, 1,800 that decided to say, yeah, I really like this, I'm going to purchase this?
mm,
Or even offer like a subscription pathway. So give them both options and say, hey, it's either $15,000 or whatever it is for the lifetime of the car, or go with, I think in the US it's $199 a month. So if they went in and said, hey, it's going to be $299 a month in Australia, then those people can give it a go, and let's hopefully it happens soon. But going back to the hardware 4 side of things, I think it will make a difference on the way uh, the computer sees what's happening around it. But
mm,
apparently the Model S and X's that came out with hardware 4 in the beginning of the year, around February, um, the software wasn't ready. So
mm.
they've got the hardware, but the software isn't ready to run on this hardware 4 computer. So maybe Tesla's got that sorted as well. So now they're going into Model Y, they mass produce cars,
Mm.
and hopefully that paves the path for full self-driving landing in some level of a trial base in Australia in the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, I mean, we do need a right-hand drive test market. As we know, cars tend to go to UK and then back to Asia and then back to Australia. So, I mean, chances are FSD will probably head that way as well. But it would be nice to have some sort of testing here as well, right?
Hmm.
Yep. And yes, I think Shalendra said 2 people who got it are regular customers. Okay, so there you go. Maybe they weren't company cars. Yes, Thomasy in action. I'm sorry, I didn't get it. So apologies, everyone. I would have loved to have tested, but not for now. And the FS is the right-hand drive, basically all mirroring for now. Yeah, I mean that's probably the case, right? Nothing else has been tested. Yeah, whether it's worth the money at the moment, yeah, that's certainly the $10,000 question, isn't it? So yeah, I've done videos on that, so have a look at that yourselves. EAP versus FSD versus basic. Yep. What else should we talk about? We've got. Let's talk about. Well, let's change gears, so to speak, and talk about the BYD Dolphin on the way to New Zealand, I believe. Riz, this is your article as
Oh,
well.
late last week they announced that sort of the expression of interest was opened. And there wasn't much information on the website until last night, or 10 p.m. last night, which was sort of midnight New Zealand time. The embargo lifted, and there was actually pricing announced on the Dolphin in New Zealand, starting at 49,990 New Zealand dollars.
Ooh.
Converting that to Australian currency, it's around 46,000 Australian dollars.
Wow.
It is steep, but in New Zealand, it's eligible for 7,000 New Zealand dollars
Mm.
of a rebate. So that's brings it down to about 42,000 New Zealand dollars. So that's not bad, but it's not great either. So given the variant that is being announced, it's got a 70 kilowatt front mounted motor,
Mhm.
0 to 100. So I don't know if anyone's got a Model 3 Performance or a Model S Raven. If you pull up to a set of lights, I think this Dolphin in its base variant may actually beat you. 0 to 100 in 12.3 seconds. And a range of, I think it's around 330 kilometers of WLTP range on that variant with a smaller 45 kilowatt hour battery.
Gee, that's not bad, That's not bad. Pretty good efficiency.
Yeah, it's look, I think for a city runaround car, it's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you moved on to that's the standard version, and then you move on to sort of the extended version of the car, which has a 60 kilowatt hour battery, more than twice the power at 150 kilowatts. That's a similar sort of a drivetrain setup as you would find in an Atto 3, and 0 to 100 in 7 seconds.
Yeah, that's Atto 3
Not
territory. Yep.
not that we're worried about how fast dolphins swim, but it's quick enough. I think it would be a good sort of addition, and pricing of that one is 57,000 New Zealand dollars, which is roughly around 52,000 Australian dollars.
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see what the price is in Australia because, as Greg has said, cannot be more than 40,000 AUD. Yeah, I mean that would be like the sweet spot, right? Under 40. Is it the first EV under 40, Riz? If
It
it
would be
is,
the first EV under 40,000. Yep, because
mm,
that was the expectation from the MG4, and that starts at 45 grand plus on roads.
mm. Yeah, 40 grand for 300k, or sorry, 39,000 for a 300k car. That's pretty good, right? K car.
Ah,
That's
I think it's well, like around 40,000 with the government subsidies. Basically, you're taking the on roads away. So for $40,000 drive away, including the subsidies, that's pretty good value for a ground up electric car. The next hatch that we have is sort of the Leaf, which obviously is slightly dated technology. And then there's the one that you recently reviewed, the Cupra Born, which starts at, I think,
60,
60,000 plus
59.
on roads. Yeah,
Yeah,
59.
59. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, they're different cars, but for 39, well, let's say 57 even, 57 New Zealand dollars, 57
Mm.
57,000 New Zealand dollars for that higher range spec. That's Cooper Born territory, right? 7 seconds, 0 to 100.
Mm.
Pretty good range. Makes you think twice, right?
Well, the more options that are there, the better it is for consumers, and
Mm,
particularly for fleets. Like, we need more of these cars to be purchased by fleets because they turn them around, they have the purchasing power, they'll get them back onto the road. Imagine, like, in 3 years time from now, you can buy a BYD Dolphin for you know $22,000 on the
wow.
used market
Wow.
with 50,000 Ks on it. That's when you know that basically it's game over for ICE. It already
Mm.
is game over for ICE, but for the masses, it's basically going to be used car territory, and I think it's a good thing. Even if they do start with prices that seem a bit higher, the market will adjust, and when they come onto the used market, there'll be a bargain for many people to sell their Corolla and buy a Dolphin or something similar.
Now, I know in Australia they had to elongate the dolphin nose to match, I think, ANCAP requirements. Do we know if New Zealand needs to do the same thing, or are they just getting the original?
Yeah, I think it's this. Let's call it the export, the European or the Western world export variant, which is what these are. There's a lot of comparisons to like in China, the base model sells for, I don't know, 25,000 Australian dollars or something like that. Why is this, even if it does start at 45,000, why is this 45,000? It, I think, is a different car. I may be wrong. It's definitely longer. It's, I think, got a few more safety packs on it, but I may be wrong on that as well. I think it's European grade, which is the same car that'll be going to the UK.
Okay. And which makes it, if it's a bit longer, it'll be the same sort of size as the VW Golf, I think. So,
Yep.
Yeah, look, I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing it in Australia soon. I'm hoping mid-year. We're kind of mid-year already, aren't we? The first day of mid-year. So hopefully orders open soon.
Yeah, well, in New Zealand, they said that test drive cars will arrive in August, with customer deliveries expected to start in September. If we look at what happened sort of, I think, the same time last year, when New Zealand got their Attos a month or so before we did,
Yes.
then it's probably going to be something similar in terms of the release date. But we could be wrong. The cars could already nearly be here. It could be like the way as we heard Elliot, they will launch a car and then people can order it and get deliveries within a week or two. So maybe we'll be surprised.
Maybe they're stashing them somewhere, some secret dockyard somewhere we don't know about.
Oh, we can't talk about that because that was what happened to those green taxis, remember?
Oh, that's right. That's right. I'll get you a pair of runners, Riz. You can run around and find them.
Have a look.
Now, question from Jolly. If anyone knows, does Tesla deliver to Cairns? If anyone in the chat knows, please answer Jolly. That'd be good. Back on Atto 3 though, it says that the Android Auto update is available now for Atto 3 owners, which is good. We've had the Apple CarPlay for a while, but there we go. Android Auto.
It seems to be coming to cars now. Some people have received the updates, others haven't. So I'm not sure what their rollout process looks like, but it's good that we can send new features to the car. I know as Tesla owners and others that have them, you get updates fairly regularly. So it's it may not seem like much, but these are pretty big changes to a car that like the Atto 3. I remember when we first test drove with Tom, probably in July or August it was.
Yep.
It did not have any navigation. And then I think I test drove it again in October, and then I think you did the Christmas trip with it.
Yep.
To Melbourne, and by that stage they had Spotify, they had some inbuilt navigation, and then maybe January, February they got Apple CarPlay.
Yeah, so EV Direct were kind enough to loan me a car with Apple CarPlay ahead of everyone else, so that was great. And it just enhances the experience having that smartphone connectivity, and now Android users can experience the same thing too. Because, like the Cupra Born, for example, didn't have the connectivity, didn't have the sat nav, but having Apple CarPlay in that car and also Android Auto, it's fine. It just enhances the experience, and suddenly it's like, okay, all my settings are there. I can just chuck it on the screen, and it feels like my car again. It feels like home, right? Mm-hmm. So I think this would be good for BYD owners to have this update. One thing I will say too is it would be nice if, because I have experienced an update in the BYD when we had the loan of it. It doesn't tell you what it's updating. It just says it's updating, but it's not like Tesla where it says, okay, you're getting this, this, and this. There's no like sort of confirmation. So just a bit of feedback. It'd be great if you can, whoever's doing the updates, just tell us what you're updating exactly.
Yep. Look, sometimes you wake up in the morning and you've had a good dream, but you don't remember what it was. Maybe it's something similar to that. When they get the updates, just doesn't remember what it's actually got on the update, but the car is actually better. So hopefully people get to experience that.
Is it building your dreams when you have a dream? I'm surprised you didn't use that. Come on.
Well, that's right. While it's updating, it's building it.
That's right.
The one thing I'll say, and I've seen a little bit of social media chatter on this, Some BYD Atto 3s are having issues with their accessories battery.
Oh.
I may be wrong, but it seems to be that there's a couple of owners. Maybe it's Vinta. Normally happens to the 12-volt or whatever accessory batteries with ICE cars as well, and something to do with some setting in there where the car doesn't turn on after it's come back from a trip. So there's a few things that I think, if they're resolved in the coming months, there'll be a lot more happy customers. People are unsure of the brand. Now it's getting more established. People are building trust with it. But it would be good if we could probably learn a little bit more about what some of those challenges are and how they're being resolved. So it just helps build trust and get more people behind the wheel of a BYD.
Yeah, a bit of transparency, right? That'd be great. Sorry, Jeff. Yes, it's dad joke time. It is that time of night, isn't it? At least I've got an excuse. Okay, just saying. And no, there will be no ASMR sounds tonight. Not like when I was mounting that rear screen. So yeah, you'll watch that if you wonder what Russ is talking about. And here we go. So, BYD listed the changes in OTA 1.5 in the email they sent a couple of days ago. Oh, my apologies. Okay, so they've upped their game. Thank you, Graham. That's good to know. Appreciate that. And I think Model Y long range delivery notices are going out, I believe. I had a viewer say that they got one today.
I think in some parts of Australia, deliveries began beginning of the week, according to what I sort of heard around social media channels, I think through Vida Prime. So maybe, the ships are starting to arrive, which is a good thing because a lot of people were waiting for that. I was quite surprised to hear how many people were actually waiting for a long range variant. Because, with an LFP pack, I know it's a single motor car, but for most people, it would be fairly, the right sort of car for $75,000. But there was apparently a whole lot of people waiting for an all-wheel drive sort of Model Y and didn't want to get a performance, which for the right reasons, because performance is, a little bit more stiffer and the rest of it. So, and a lot dearer. So good to see those. And congratulations to those customers.
Yeah, we're taking a road trip in the school holidays in the LFP rear-wheel drive Model Y. So I'm going to prove that it can be done. Yeah, I think there's enough charging stops, especially on the Tesla Supercharger network now, that the rear-wheel drive vehicle is probably enough. I can understand if you need that extra range, if you don't want to charge, say, for example, you need to drive from, say, Sydney to wherever and back again without needing to charge during the day, then yes, I guess that's where the long range might be useful. Might be useful if you need to tow, I guess, as well. That extra bit of range is useful. But certainly day-to-day, Riz, as you said, there's just rear-wheel drive, LFP battery. Makes sense. You showed us before, too, that the LFP rear-wheel drive for Model 3 over the years, that's certainly been the number one seller, right? Way above long-range performance.
Oh, 100%. I think, particularly last year, nearly 85% of all Model 3s that were delivered were a rear-wheel drive car. And it makes sense with incentives and other things as well. But, I mean, the Model 3 rear-wheel drive is, and same with the Model Y, it's such a feature-packed car. And Tom, you picked yours up recently, and, it was really good to see the whole experience. What did you make of it? Like, particularly what you got in 2023?
Oh, the car itself? Oh, it's like you get so much car for your money, honestly. And not just physically, but feature packed as well. Like for a family vehicle, it's just a no-brainer. There's so much space, not just the trunk or the boot, that like the subfloor, then the front, and then there's so much room for the kids in the back. It's a lot of car for 70 odd grand base price. So if you got that kind of money, if your budget could stretch to that 70,000 range, like the Model Y is just just amazing value.
And what do you think about your Model 3? Like compare that to your previous red performance, because I know it's a dual motor car versus a rear wheel drive, but taking the motors out, what do you think in general, like the improvements over the years? Like it's 4 years apart, I think.
That's right. It's phenomenal. So 2019 Fremont Tesla Model 3, one of the first few batches. Yeah, like the new ones now, the Shanghai built 2023 rear-wheel drive. The build quality is phenomenal. Like nothing rattles anymore. It just feels very firm, very together. Suspension's fantastic over potholes, even in Sydney. It's a breeze. Features, the Ryzen computer is so quick. Like even when you reset it for whatever reason, just boom, a couple of seconds, it's back. All the cool stuff, like all the toy box stuff and the theater stuff, it's very quick as well. Loads quickly, very smooth frame rate. Yeah, just a very comfortable car. So honestly, it's improved a lot. Very happy.
That's awesome because one of the things Tesla put out in their, I think, Investor Day pitch deck was I think the sort of comparing, like now all the new Model 3s and Ys that are coming out have got the lithium battery in it, 16-volt battery.
That's right.
That's designed for life, where traditionally you'd be changing your, I think it's lead acid batteries for accessories every 4 to 5 years, where now you don't have to worry about it. I know they had some hiccups when they first released that, particularly in colder climates. But yeah, no, I think there's some significant changes. So anything where they could replace it with something that has a longer life and better reliability is great. So yeah, lots happening. And I think I saw Rowan in the chat earlier saying Atto 3, 7,000 kilometers. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, well done. That's very good. Tow bar next week. That's great. Where are you getting it from? Is that from EV Stealth or someone else? Rowan, let us know. Gaffer says too, Vita Prime says up to ship number 11 for Q2. Massive numbers. Riz, I think almost 100,000 EVs in Australia now, right?
Yeah, well, this month we should get close. Well, sorry, when I said this month, when the May data comes out, Crystal Ball Riz says 7 to 9,000 EVs for the month. And if that happens, then we are definitely at 100,000 or just a little bit beyond that now.
Amazing.
It's just, yeah, fantastic. And I don't think things are going backwards. And people want what's cleaner, what's better for the environment, and what's just cheaper to own and run. So yeah, 11 ships, keep them coming. I think that's exactly what Elon was in Shanghai for, just making sure the ships are coming to Australia. So it's happening, and it's fantastic news. And it's not just for Teslas; it's all electric cars. It encourages.
Sorry, Riz. So 9,000 cars is what percent of new car sales in Australia?
9,000. Oh, look, 9,000 per month would be a month like May, probably 10%. So if that happens, if we hit double digits,
so good.
Which if not in May, in June we should, it's basically game over for ICE in Australia.
Yeah. We're way on that slope now, aren't we? That takeoff, so good. And Rowan says thanks to Tom for the spare wheel kit. That's great.
Yes.
Great work. Greg says, are we going to talk about the Ford using superchargers in the US? That's right. Interesting picks this week coming out of the US. Bit of advertising for Tesla, really, if you think about it.
NACS North American charging standard is very interesting, that whole announcement and how it was done. It was done on Twitter Spaces, which is like a publicly presented phone call between Elon and Jim Farley, Ford CEO. Just phenomenal, just to see how, there's a lot for Ford to gain. It feels a little bit one-sided in some ways, that Ford's gaining a lot, but I think it goes with what Tesla's overall mission is, to accelerate the transition towards electrification. And I think that if we look at that, Ford is in America, in some people it's Ford or nothing. So it's a big thing. It's a big thing. Ford bait Tesla to a truck with the F-150 Lightning. Yes, they're not making a lot of them yet, but if they can charge at Tesla superchargers, and there's so many, I think there's 12,000 of them in the US superchargers, it's going to be quite an interesting transition, and it's if Ford's done it, then there's definitely a whole lot of closed boardroom meetings being held in the coming months from other automakers that they've got to do something. And Volkswagen, that owns Electrify America, which is the other big public charging network, they had every reason to make that work, and it seems they haven't done it. And that's just opened an opportunity for Tesla and Ford to collaborate in some ways. And yeah, I think it's a very good thing.
Yep. I think as I think Greg's saying here, yes, EA is rubbish. Electrify America. I think he's talking about rest have to follow. Yeah, look, I think they're realizing now the Tesla network is just second to none, right? And that's the picture I'm talking about with the Tesla advertising, the Ford truck right there.
Oh, and it's on the. I heard a bit of a snippet of the Twitter Spaces, and Jim Farley basically said that I was on a road trip with my family, and my kids, every time we drove past a Tesla supercharger, they're like, "Dad, can we stop there?" And he was saying, yeah, he was basically saying, "No, we can't." So I don't know whether that's just a good story on the back of what they're trying to do, but at least he said we're listening and we're trying to see how we can accelerate the uptake of EVs. And I guess it's big bold steps. I'm not saying that Ford is right in many things they do, but compared to what Ford CEO is sort of saying will happen, and he's saying our products aren't great today, but they will get better. It's very hard for CEOs to say that. Volkswagen CEO tried, Herbert Diess, and then he was on, the chopping block and gone.
Yep, that's it. Rowan's come back to us and said that yes, he's used EV Stealth, so that's great. Stealth EVs, tow bar, that's great for his BYD. And he's also, let me see, thanked me for the BYD spare wheel. I just can't find his message. But Louis says, "What's the spare wheel kit?" Just a quick plug. Look at my Facebook page. I do put a link to the Bromark BYD spare wheel, which I'll be reviewing very soon because I'll be loading one from Sixt very soon as well over the long weekend. So stay tuned for that too. Yeah, and Gaffer says domino effect from here to keep up. Others have to follow. That's very true. Just on a bit of a side topic, I just want to put this up because I did promise these guys I would show this. Where is it? Here we go. So this is from LinkedIn, but this is from Domino's Pizza and in partnership with Benzina Zero. And they've got electric mopeds at a few Domino's stores. There you go. So that's if you're ordering pizzas in your local area, you might see one of these come quietly, stealthily towards your house delivering pizza. So that's good to see Domino's electrifying their fleet.
How cool are they?
Yeah, it's good, right?
That's awesome. Yeah, when I was a teenager, I worked at Pizza Hut for many years, and yeah, all I can say is it's a tough gig, but was always drivers driving around in Toyota Camrys and other Ford Falcons, big 4-liter vehicles delivering pizzas around. So seeing zero emission mopeds and hopefully cars soon, like they're doing in the US, it's awesome. Good to see.
Yeah, that's right. And I just want to salute all delivery drivers, all the boys and girls, men and women out there doing the hard work for all of us, delivering our stuff. So hats off to all of you. Hopefully you get to drive one of these babies, if not today, in the near future as we electrify our fleet across Australia. So thanks, Benzina, for sharing that with us. Appreciate that. I also want to put up, I just saw where is it? Here we go. Cybertruck news. We all love Cybertruck news, don't we? Riz, this is Cybertruck interior photo showing improved yoke steering, baby center console.
Oh, it's a combination of a yoke and a steering wheel. What would you call that? A yoke wheel of
Earing wheel. Stoke.
Stoke wheel, yeah. Yeah, cool. Very, I don't know, reminds me a little bit of Knight Rider.
Oh, yeah.
Very fairly basic interior, and a lot of people have sort of said, well, that looks hideous, but then it's a truck. it's not really there to be, if you've been to many utes, they're not, very premium. And yeah, it looks cool. The big screen, the screens, I think it's on the same size as the Model S or X or even bigger.
Ooh, bigger, I think.
Yeah. maybe it's 19-inch.
Wow.
Because the SNX is 17, the new refresh that's not coming here, and the Model 3 and Y I think is 15-inch.
Mm. Yeah, that's a great point, Riz. I mean, it's a truck. It's meant to be ugly, and why not make it brutalist like this? So cool.
Very cool. One other thing worth noting is if you look at the dash,
Mm.
I mean, who knows if this is going to be the final sort of version of the truck or not, but that fabric material, apparently the Model 3 Highland refresh is getting rid of the wood trim.
Oh,
This was sort of this came out from one of the suppliers in China maybe about 3-4 months ago, and it was going to go with like that fabric that we already have in the Model 3s. That's I think like part of the door trim. It feels a little bit like Alcantara.
okay.
Um, so yeah, that nano fabric dash is maybe Tesla's go-to thing now. So we may see that in the Model 3 as well if this refresh is, we've been talking a lot about it. What if it's not even real?
I know, right?
Uh,
Because Tesla doesn't confirm anything, right? So it just could be a lot of hot air. Who
but
knows?
just like most truck drivers in the US don't think Cybertruck's real, so who knows?
That's right. I noticed too that see that the seat controls are like polygonal and that brutalist look as well. So that's pretty cool. In keeping with the theme. Oh, that's funny. And thank you, Manya, for yeah. They said loving the hubcaps you recently had on your Y, looking awesome. Sorry, for Model 3 and Y, looking awesome. Got mine on Tuesday. Fantastic. That's true. I do like it as well. Um, yes, I'm sorry. I used the wrong word, brutalist. I don't know why I said brutalist. It's like sharp. I suppose that looks brutalist. This bit here, or is it that bit? That kind of looks brutalist. Harsh.
Mm.
I don't think it's concrete. No, Peter. And that wouldn't be good for weight reduction for sure.
The other thing is the center sort of console area. Looks like there's a lot of space there, and some people on Twitter are a little bit disappointed because there was plans for a sixth seat or a seat at the front in the middle, which
Yep.
may not be the safest thing, but
A rocket seat.
apparently, yeah, I don't know. Interesting whether it will come or not, but yeah, people are just excited about this product.
Yep. That's cool. Nice. Okay. Well, let's see if there's anything else we could talk about. Just this one real quick. Back on Cybertruck again. We're seeing Cybertruck related job openings opening up in Austin. Means
Mhm.
production's ramping up, I guess.
I think that's what's happening. The alpha prototype line, they must be transitioning. If what Elon said in his timelines can be extended a little bit by 2 weeks or so, but he reckons the first customer deliveries end of Q3.
Hmm. Okay. That's pretty soon, actually. That's like 3 months' time.
Mm.
Now this one, Riz, this is your article again. Tesla beating Mercedes, BMW, Audi, VW in 2023 Australian car sales.
Yeah, I thought I'd go through some of the data of what's happening in the ICE world because when Tesla, when people compare Tesla, and I think Elon often comes out and says, we're not too worried about the how we're doing compared to like in the EV market. We want to be in the complete sort of ICE and EV market. That's the comparison we want. So having a look at the data so far in 2023 till the end of April, because the May figures haven't come out yet. Yeah, Tesla was ahead of Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Audi, and People's Car, VW. We spoke about it earlier in the stream.
We did.
Maybe Tesla will be People's Car. People would want to have that because it's, a superior, cleaner product and hopefully affordable enough.
Yeah.
Um,
Someone said to me, well, recently that Model 3 and Model Y could be the new Camry just because it's such good value, lasts a long time. Accountants love them. So, it's got to be a good thing, right?
Well, apparently they already call it the Californian Camry because there's so many of them around in
Yeah.
California. So, yeah, it's in pretty much every way, it's a superior product to Model 3 in particular. I know SUVs are all the rage, but seriously, for those people that like sedans or they have enough space for their family or their needs, Model 3, I think, is hands down the best value car you can buy, particularly when you consider, and Tom, we've seen your videos on, cost of ownership stuff compared to a Camry and other things. It's a no-brainer.
Yep. It's a no-brainer. And petrol's gone up to $2 again in my area. So, when that happens, you think, okay, I'm glad I'm driving electric because my price is still the same for electricity. Just saying. Now, this one here is interesting. New report showing petrol diesel car makers are using sports sponsorships to greenwash their polluting products. It says ICE car ads should be banned in the way as for tobacco products. Well, that's not really, that could happen one day. We don't see cigarette ads anymore. In 20 years' time, will we see any more ICE car ads? Right?
Well, that's when is that point where it becomes, in a certain way, socially unacceptable
That's right.
to drive, to own, to whatever? So, being in Victoria, there's only one sport, and that's AFL.
AFL.
And who is the biggest sponsor of AFL? I think we all know.
Oh, what a feeling.
Oh, that's exactly right. And it's going to be interesting. And EV brands, we know Tesla, until recently, when Elon said they may play around with advertising, but it has to be informative. EV brands traditionally have not advertised. The only brand that I can think of that has been advertising fairly heavily just to establish themselves in Australia has been Polestar.
Yes.
But they have not done any sport, as far as I know, any sport-related advertising. So that's going to be quite interesting to see what happens. But yeah, ICE brands, they go wherever people are.
Actually, speaking of advertising, the freeway that I frequent on in Sydney, 3 ads in one drive. EV6, Kia EV6, the Ford Mark-E, which is not even here yet, and the Polestar. So, I guess other brands are advertising at the moment. It's good to see.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, the ICE brands are particularly, as well as Polestar.
Yeah.
And I think Cupra is advertising, but I haven't seen a lot of their Born ads yet.
Yep.
Maybe because they haven't delivered too many just yet, and may be the first big month for them.
Yep. Peter Cook makes a good point. When EV brands advertise, people look at how to buy one, possibly watch my videos, and then get frustrated, and then they buy a Tesla. Yeah, that's a great point, Peter, actually. Very good point.
This is that whole Super Bowl thing, right? A couple of years ago, and I think all the other brands advertised, but Tesla saw the spike in sort of their search interest and other things. Electric cars, people think Tesla, and hopefully in the next couple of years, people will think BYD, Hyundai, MG, the brands that are, let's say, having somewhat of a crack at EVs.
Yep. And also, Tesla's recent switch from CATL to BYD batteries. I think, which factory is it? Berlin, I think. Isn't it Berlin doing that now?
Yeah, Berlin.
Interesting. So they're also receiving LFP from China now too, which is good. We know LFP works well, certainly in Australia in mild weather. All right. Well, let me see if there's anything else we can. I'll just touch on this really quickly. This is the last bit. If this works, no, it's not going to work. All right. So I was going to talk about EV. The ABC article today about lithium batteries posing a triple threat, but I might leave that maybe for another day because that's a really big point about recycling batteries and repurposing them. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. Excellent. All right. Riz, is there anything else you want to touch on before we head off?
No, it's going to be an exciting couple of days. Let's see if anything does come out of, if we see, the next generation of the Model 3. But there's been no unveiling event announced, nothing, so we don't know. Maybe it's typical Tesla fashion before we see some drone footage of them leaving Shanghai and Fremont and wherever else. But we'll see. And charging infrastructure is increasing. We've had nearly 15 DC charging sites open, including a Tesla supercharger site in Runaway Bay on the Gold Coast.
Yes, correct. Yep.
So yeah, charging infrastructure is going well, and EV uptake. Just numbers to watch what happened in May, and hopefully we'll either know tomorrow or early next week.
Well, we did kind of pick that Model Y would open on the stream, right? I remember back in October, I think it was, we chatted, the three of us. And then like the next day, literally the next day, because we know Friday is Tesla Friday, right? Stuff happens. So you never know. Tomorrow, stuff could like could just drop like that, right?
Oh, look, anything's possible with Tesla, and yeah, I think that's going to be quite interesting to see. And just one other point around Dolphin, we touched on that with New Zealand coming on board. It'd be interesting to see how long before the Australian arm of BYD, EV Direct or BYD themselves, when they can sort of at least open the registration of interest for that car, because I think it's going to be quite popular. And let's see if it beats the MG4 in getting to Australia.
Yeah, that's right. That's the race is on, I think, isn't it? So what are we now? June. So yeah, orders hopefully will open this month, and then we'll get them later this year. So fingers crossed. And I think MG4 official release should happen fairly soon too. So fingers crossed again. All right, Riz. Well, once again, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, likewise, Tom. Good to be here. Good to see everyone again. And yeah, it's exciting times, and look forward to the next one.
Yep, indeed. Yes, I'm sorry. There's a few stories we didn't get through this time, but we will certainly talk about that next week on the show. Thank you for everyone for joining us live tonight. Appreciate all your comments and questions. Been great to hear from you. If you're watching on replay, make sure you leave a comment below as well, saying hello. I'd love to hear from you too. And if you're listening on audio podcast, thank you for lasting the distance and joining us all the way. All right, everyone. On behalf of Riz and myself and Rahul, hopefully you'll join us next week. He does send his apologies. We shall see you next time on Ludicrous Feed Live. And as always, happy charging. Take care, everyone. Bye now.